I'm Steve Southwell, editor of the Lewisville Texan Journal. I'm here today with Lewisville City Councilman Leroy Vaughn, who was kind enough to join us to talk about some pending changes to the city's smoking ordinance. What has been proposed is to ban smoking in restaurants and bars, and to extend the ban within 25 feet of the front door and within 5 feet of any patio door, so that people could still smoke on a patio, but just not 5 feet within the not within 5 feet to the door. So I want to ask you, Leroy, you haven't been extremely vocal on this issue in council, so where do you stand on this?
Well, Steve, I feel like a solution is needed because for me it's a health issue. Secondhand smoke, according to what I read and believe, is just as dangerous to the general public as it is to the smoker. So I feel like the city needs to address this issue, especially in our bars and restaurants.
Okay. Now, have you heard from many people one way or the other about this issue?
I've heard from quite a few people. I get probably 10 emails a day and 2 or 3 phone calls a day with varying opinions of what should be done. Mostly they favor the smoking ban or some form of the ban, and that's pretty much how it's coming down. And that for me was kind of the deciding factor, because I was one of the ones that thought originally maybe we should go to the public as a referendum.
I see. But you do support the ban?
I do support the ban. I have not come to total grips with the differences in the distance from the front door as opposed to the patio door. In our ordinance, we're trying to figure out a way that we can let them smoke outside, but we don't want that smoke to get into the restaurant.
You're trying to figure out what the ideal distance would be, that sort of thing.
Exactly. We talked about 25 and 25, 25 and 5. One of the groups that I talked with was Smoke Free Texas, and I believe their distance that they're working with is 15 feet.
Okay, sounds like a fair compromise.
They're trying to get something through the legislative office.
All right, well, you know, the opponents to this have been fairly vocal, and they've said that this is an issue about rights, about the rights of businesses and the rights of smokers. Some say that businesses ought to have the sole rights to allow or disallow smoking in their establishment, and others have accused the city council of trying to be a nanny, tell people what's good for them or bad for them. I wanted to address that argument first, the nanny state argument, that this was somehow about the city council trying to keep individual smokers from lighting up or trying to discourage smoking in general. But that's not really who you're trying to protect here, is it?
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. It's not the smoker that we're trying to protect. It's the other individuals around the smoker, the people that would be affected by the secondhand smoke. And from all the literature, these people develop the same sicknesses that the smoker may develop himself. So we're not trying to infringe on the smoker. We're just asking him to keep it away from the general population. And it's for some reason, it's a very sticky, uncomfortable situation when it happens in restaurants and bars. And that's what we're trying to deal with. We're not trying to stop anybody from smoking, but don't infringe on the other people is what we're after. If the state would handle this, it would be better if it was a statewide thing, but they're not, and so every community is having to come up with their own best judgment.
Right. I know sometimes when I go to an especially smoky restaurant or bar, you know, I try not to go to those places, but, you know, sometimes if I'm at one of those places for several hours, I'll come home and just, I smell like it, my throat hurts, my eyes hurt. I can barely imagine what it's like to work in a place like that for 8 or 10 hours on a shift. And
that's part of the population we're trying to look after. The people that have to be there by necessity. You know, I've heard it said that, well, you know, they could work somewhere else. Well, that's not necessarily an easy thing to accomplish, just because you can't handle the smoke. So we're trying to protect those people that are required to be there for their job, and the other people that want to be there, but smoking keeps them away. So that's what we're trying to do. That's what we're trying to accomplish.
Right. So when someone like Councilman Garena says, you know, what's next? Sugary soft drinks, fried chicken.
Well,
much...
well, as far as that remark is concerned, Washington is already talking about limiting the size of sugary drinks and the containers that they come in. But more importantly, if you decide to drink 5 gallons a day of that really has no impact on me. But your smoking has a direct health impact on me. And we all pay for medical, to be looked after medically. You know, the things that the diseases that smoking causes contributes quite a bit to what we pay for care.
Right. Okay, so you know, the next part of the opposition is you know, businesses, restaurants and bars today, if they wanted to, could ban smoking in their own establishment. They have the right to decide to allow it or disallow it, and presumably the market solves that problem by, you know, people who are extremely sensitive to smoke will go somewhere else. People who like to smoke will go to the restaurants that allow it. And yet our citizens are not very satisfied with that, are they? What is it about that is not working? Why don't we see more businesses making that choice?
Well, in my limited looking into this subject, I think the restaurants in Lewisville are making that choice voluntarily, especially the larger restaurants, the corporate restaurants. They are, for whatever reason, they are doing that. They're making that decision. It's the smaller individual establishments that people like the atmosphere sometimes of a smaller, more intimate, intimate place. But if there's smoking in that smaller, intimate place, then they are, in a way, blocked from going there. And I don't think that financially it's going to make a big a difference one way or the other from the literature that I've read, but I think that the market in some areas is working, addressing it. In other areas, we're going to have to legislate it.
I see. I have wondered about whether some businesses might feel like they're at a disadvantage if they make that first move and alienate their customers, you know, rather than, you know, having an across the board, everybody disallows it.
That would, that opinion has been expressed. Yes, no one really wants to be the first person or the bad guy. If the state legislated it, then it kind of provides a blanket cover for those restaurants that really want to do it. But don't. So when they have to deal with it individually, as a matter of fact, in a way, we're kind of providing that cover. I mean, with the decision that we may make for them, you know, require them to cooperate as far as the ordinance.
Some restaurant owners might be looking forward to this.
It's been expressed to me that there are restaurant owners have expressed that they wish there was a no smoking ordinance.
I see.
Yes, the owners themselves have expressed that.
It sounds counterintuitive, but it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, to me, I didn't quite understand it when I heard it either. And I didn't really get a good explanation of why they felt that way. But that's what they said. So I'm going to take them at their word. It's their, you know, their business.
Okay. Well, speaking of business, you know, one of the things that is brought up anecdotally, some people will say, well, if you ban smoking in Lewisville, I'm going to take my business elsewhere. I'm going to go to another local city. You know, they're kind of running out of other local cities to take it to, but
yes, they are. We are kind of on the tail end of this. I'll call it a movement, for lack of a better word.
Right.
But some of our neighboring cities have already acted this same type of legislation that we are dealing with right now.
Right.
So.
Well, specifically Flower Mound, they enacted theirs. I think 2010 was when their non-smoking ordinance went into effect, and their restaurant sales actually went up 4.5% in that year compared to the year before, and that was, I believe, more than double the increase that Lewisville saw with our lack of a smoking ban. So it didn't look like it hurt them. Certainly didn't hurt them.
I don't think that it will. When I met with Smoke Free Texas, they showed me a chart that they had on the research that they had done as far as the impact on business for a establishment that smoked and stopped smoking, and most of it, according to their research, their business increased. For whatever that's worth, it increased.
Huh. So how much of a concern is that to you in terms of, you know, the total revenue coming into these businesses, the effect on business, and then I guess the tax revenue that it brings in?
It's very important to me, and not only to me, it's very important to you as a Lewisville resident, because, you know, as you know, the city has certain expenditures, and those expenditures have to come from revenues. So if we're able to get part of that from the sales tax in restaurants, then that goes a long way in keeping your homeowners' taxes low. It goes a long way in us providing marginal things in the budget that we might have to put off or just not do at all. So it's a very important factor for the city.
So you spent some time soul searching over this?
Oh, I tell you, this has been so far in my young political career, this has been the one item that I must say I have dealt with every day since the subject came up in one form or fashion or another. As I stated earlier in this interview, I thought about, you know, putting it out as a referendum. I still don't see the measurements from the front door and the back door as some members of the council do, but we'll work that out. It'll get worked out.
I see. Well, speaking of referendum, we did our own unscientific poll, as we do a lot of times on Lewisville Texan Journal, and when I checked it last night, we had 71% of respondents to our poll said that they favored the ban. And of the 17% who opposed the ban, 60% of those favored putting it out as a referendum to the voters. It seems to me, if it goes out to the voters, it passes. Is it worth the expense? Is it worth the hassle of having it nailed down in stone? like that when, you know, if something like this needs to be tweaked, if the voters passed it, presumably the voters would have to approve any changes to it.
You're absolutely right. And the referendum was one of the things that I turned over in my own mind many, many times. But I think it would just be the same thing, the people voicing what they want, and from all indications, all the phone calls and emails I've gotten, they support just what you said, really, that you know, they want to have a no smoking ban.
All right. So, in terms of this ban, it basically says no indoor smoking at all, and whatever that distance ends up being from the entrances. Do you think that there's any room for any sort of middle ground or compromise in terms of, you know, restaurants installing some kind of technology or having completely separately ventilated areas with, you know, smoke eaters and, you know, whatever else they dream up, filtration?
Well, when this subject first came up, I brought that up a couple of times. And the unofficial word that I got back was those systems, those ventilation systems that you talk about, are price-wise way beyond the reach of the regular mom and pop restaurant. You know, they're $250,000, $300,000 for those types of things. Wow. I also asked about, well, you know, a door in between, and the feedback was they're really ineffective, and that's why we're dealing with staying so far away from the doors in the ordinance that we're trying to draw up.
All right.
That yes, they did think about that, and they've had that option before, but if you're not a chain, you know, you're not going to come close to putting that kind of ventilation system in.
All right. So you guys are scheduled to vote on this July 2nd, right? Monday, July 2nd?
Yes, we're going to be discussing it again Monday night, this coming Monday, at the council meeting. Yes, and then it will come to a vote on the 2nd, I believe. Yes.
All right. Leroy, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Steve, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. Always.
Likewise. And we'll post this on the website, and hopefully people will show up and let you guys know what they think about it, one way or the other.
I am very open. That's what I'm basing my decision on. Is what I think they want, and that's, they put us in a position to speak for them. So let us know what they want.
We'll post your email.
Thank you very much.
All right, take care.
All right, you too.
Bye.